Now, a couple who have been travelling over the last few days is the King and Queen, who've been enjoying a busy day of engagements today in Bordeaux during the final day of their 3-day state visit to France.
It's been a magnificent trip, and they've been on board the Royal Navy warship HMS Iron Duke, and they will end their trip with a tour around a sustainable vineyard in the city famous for its wine. Bordeaux is the best wine on the planet, in my opinion.
Well, we can now speak to Nile Gardiner, who is director of the Margaret Thatcher Centre for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. Niall, you've probably been watching the wonderful images this week from the trip. How would you describe it? A triumph for Anglo-French relations, maybe?
Well, thanks very much for having me on the show today. And I have to say, I think the visit by the King and by Camilla has been absolutely a tremendous success. And I think it's a demonstration of the immense power of the British monarchy. And the reception, of course, received from the French people has been absolutely tremendous. And I think it's a reflection of the immense power that the British monarchy has on the world stage. This has been a great success, I think, for the royal family. It's been great for UK-French relations. And it underscores as well why the British monarchy is so important, I think, for the British people, for British interests on the world stage. And the reception by the French, I think, has been absolutely magnificent. So full credit to the French people for their very warm reception.
As you talk to us now, we are watching live images of the King and Queen in the centre of Bordeaux. Niall, I think, has just dropped out, but we'll stay on these pictures as the King and Queen are on the stage where speeches are being delivered in the centre of the Place de la Bourse. The mayor of Bordeaux saying, well, I don't quite know what he's saying, but I'm sure it's something very pleasant about the King and Queen on their last day. And after this visit to the centre of Bordeaux, the King is going to go on to hear about the devastating impact of last year's forest fires in the region. So, Niall, I think you're back. We were just talking about what King Charles and Queen Camilla are doing at the moment, but you were talking about how triumphant this visit has been.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think that it's been a great success for the British monarchy. And I think that this underscores why the monarchy is so important on the world stage, representing the British people here. And I do think in every sense, this visit has been a success. It has been, I think, tremendous course for King Charles, one of his early steps on the world stage as king. He has, I think, done tremendously well. And it is striking, I think, just how warm the reception has been actually from the French people here. There's genuine affection for the British monarchy in France, across Europe, across the world. The royal family is hugely popular across the world. In the United States, for example, Prince William is far more popular actually than Joe Biden, according to the latest Gallup poll. So the royal family really are tremendous ambassadors, I think, for the United Kingdom on the world stage. And I think the impact they are making is a hugely positive one for the British people.
Do you think, Niall, there have been a few eyebrows raised about the fact that in the week that Rishi Sunak rode back on net zero, King Charles, of course, his favourite hobby horse is the environment. He's been talking a lot about climate change. Is it appropriate in the same day as the Prime Minister has been talking about these kind of things for the King to wade in with his two pennies worth?
I think it's best really for the King to avoid matters that are deemed to be political. And of course, the net zero issue is very, very political. And the Prime Minister has rightly, I think, rode back on some of the earlier commitments here. And I think that certainly it is vital for the royal family to be very, very cautious in terms of anything that may be deemed to be a political intervention. And I think that does apply to the King. He has to be very careful. He's no longer a prince; he is the king, and he has to be exceptionally careful on these matters. But I have to say, as I mentioned earlier, I do think the trip to France has been a roaring success in every respect. But certainly the king has to be careful not to be seen to be in any way a political figure on the international stage.
And very timely as well, Niall, because of the Rugby World Cup taking place in France at the moment. We were just looking at some pictures of King Charles throwing a rugby ball, and England play tomorrow.
Yeah, it's very, very timely here. And I am, though, struck really by the tremendous warmth actually from the French people here. And I do think that many Frenchmen would dearly love to have a monarchy of their own. Of course, they got rid of their own. But the reality is that the British monarchy is a tremendous force, I think, for British power, the projection of British power on the world stage. That's wonderful to see, actually, the French embracing the British monarchy.
Although Republicans would say, well, look, the French got rid of their monarchy X amount of hundreds of years ago. They still get the tourists flocking to France to see all the palaces. Exactly the same would happen here, with or without the royal family.
Without the head chopping, hopefully.
That's a good point. But the royals, I think, are just a tremendous, force for Britain across the world. Wherever they go, they tend to be warmly welcomed. That says a great deal about the popularity of the monarchy, why the British people love the monarchy, and why the monarchy is so loved across the world today.
Super stuff. Nile Gardiner, it's always a pleasure, never a chore. Thanks for input today.